Most men think women choose them through conscious logic, through lists of traits, preferences, and compatibility tests. But that's not how the feminine works. Not at her core. A woman doesn't first decide if she's drawn to you. Her body reacts before her mind does. And if you don't understand this, you'll keep chasing words while missing the truth that's playing out in front of you, in her posture, her breath, her movement, her silence. What you need to understand is her nervous system is always scanning, constantly asking questions she doesn't vocalize. Do I feel safe here? Can I be myself here? Is this man present or performative? And the answers don't come from what you say. They come from what you are. And this is where most men lose the woman before the conversation even begins. They walk in with anxious energy, inflated bravado, or desperation wrapped in fake confidence. And while they might fool her conscious mind for a few moments, her body isn't fooled. Her nervous system detects ever uncertainty, your agenda, your need for approval, and it reacts accordingly. She crosses her arms. She shifts her weight away. Her eyes glance to the side more than they meet yours. These are not small things. These are her subconscious alarms going off. And once that barrier is up, you can say all the right things and still go nowhere, because her nervous system already said no. But when a man enters a space with inner calm, rootedness, and purpose, not trying to impress, but simply being aligned with who he is, her body picks that up too. Her shoulders drop slightly. She exhales more deeply. Her hips square towards you without her realizing it. Her head tilts when you speak. These are micro expressions of interest, but more than that, they're signs of trust. And trust is the gateway to connection. You see, we often focus so much on attraction in terms of beauty or personality that we forget this deeper layer, the biological dance underneath the conversation. Her nervous system is responding to the energy beneath your words. That's why some men can talk for 10 minutes and still not connect, while another man can say 2 words and leave her feeling something real. This is not about playing games or manipulating. It's about understanding how safety and polarity work. The feminine body opens in the presence of safety and strength, not dominance, not force. Calm strength, certainty, stillness. When you're secure in yourself, grounded in your values, and unbothered by whether she accepts or rejects you, that presence communicates something her body understands. You're not a threat, you're an anchor. And let me be clear, this goes beyond just dating. You'll see this everywhere once you understand it. A woman sits across from a man in a meeting. He's confident but not arrogant, attentive but not needy, grounded. And suddenly, without him doing anything overtly flirtatious, she leans in. Her eyes lock a little longer. She mirrors his pace. She's responding to his nervous system, not his status, not his appearance, his energy. This is primal. It's encoded in biology, but it's awakened by emotional intelligence. That's why shallow tactics never work long term. If you're not operating from self-possession, a woman's body will know, because the feminine is more intuitive than logical. She's listening to the frequency beneath your words. She's responding to the structure or chaos within you. So the real work isn't in learning lines. It's in becoming the kind of man who naturally evokes safety depth and interest simply by walking in truth. And here's the key: her body will tell you everything if you know how to read it, not in a creepy or manipulative way, but as a form of emotional attunement. If she sighs when she talks to you, that may be her nervous system regulating. If her voice gets softer, she may be feeling safer. If her gaze lingers longer than before, she might be opening. These signs don't lie. Her body is in conversation with yours before words ever catch up. And this is what separates men who try from men who understand. You don't have to chase. You don't have to perform. Wasted day. You simply have to become present enough to notice and powerful enough to stay grounded no matter how she reacts. Because your calm teaches her nervous system how to feel safe. Your stillness gives her the signal to relax. Your grounded presence is what creates space for her to drop the mask, let down her walls, and finally feel seen without having to say it. So the next time you're with a woman, stop trying to figure out what to say. Start observing what her body is already saying. And more importantly, ask yourself, is my presence making her nervous system tense up or finally breathe? Because the man who knows how to calm her body without even touching her is the man her soul won't forget. Most of what a woman truly communicates doesn't come through her words. It comes through her face. Her facial expressions are an emotional language of their own, revealing what she feels before she's even aware of it. These are called micro expressions. Tiny, fleeting changes in facial muscles that occur involuntarily in response to emotion. You can't fake them. You can't rehearse them. They're raw, unfiltered truth. And if you're not paying attention, you'll miss everything. See, a lot of men are listening to what women say while completely ignoring what she's showing. You might hear her say she's fine, but if you notice the subtle drop in her tone, the brief tightening around her eyes, the way her smile faded half a second too soon, you'd realize she's not fine at all, and you'd see the gap between her spoken words and her subconscious truth. And if you understand that gap, you now have access to a deeper connection than 90% of men ever reach. Because here's the thing, her body tells on her, especially her face. Let's break this down for a moment. When a woman is emotionally activated, whether by attraction, discomfort, nervousness, or even deep trust, her micro expressions fire before she can suppress them. You might notice a flash of wide eyes when you walk in. That's surprise or intrigue. You might catch a slight upward curl of the lip when you speak with confidence. That's subconscious admiration. You might see her blink rapidly, then glance away when you make strong eye contact. That's arousal, or more often, emotional overstimulation. Most men don't see any of this. Why? Because they're too focused on performing, too focused on what they are doing, saying, or trying to control. And when you're so deep in your own ego or anxiety, you miss what's right in front of your feedback. A woman's micro expressions are constant feedback. Her body is always telling you how safe she feels, how attracted she is, how much she trusts you. The key is knowing how to read it, not with arrogance, but with quiet emotional intelligence. And here's the deeper truthing. When a woman is around a man she trusts who is emotionally attuned, she stops guarding her face. She lets the smile linger a little longer. Her eyebrows lift when you speak, not to challenge, but to receive. Her lips part slightly, not out of seduction, but because she's finally able to relax into the moment. Her expressions become slower, more fluid, more vulnerable. That's when you know you're not just talking to her. You're reaching into her. Another wasted day. And let's be real, this level of awareness doesn't come from watching body language videos. It comes from learning to be present, because you cannot detect subtle emotional shifts if you're locked in your head. You won't notice the millisecond changes if your mind is busy calculating your next move. You have to train yourself to see, to observe without tension, to read her face without trying to predict outcomes. This is emotional mastery. This is attunement. And attunement is what creates intimacy, not performance, not perfection. Attunement. You become the man who notices when her smile is real and when it's a cover. Hey, you feel the difference between her laughing to please you versus laughing because her guard is down. You can see it in her eyes, in the slight tension or lack thereof in her jawline. You see the woman behind the performance. That is rare because so many women are used to not being seen. They're used to having to wear the cool girl mask, the composed, agreeable, effortless image that men fall for on the surface, but never really know. And after a while, that kind of performance becomes exhausting. So when you become the kind of man who sees through the mask with gentleness, not interrogation, she starts to trust you with her real face. And that's the moment she stops being just another version of herself. That's when she becomes herself. In the presence of your awareness, she feels emotionally safe enough to stop performing. She starts revealing. She starts expressing. And her face begins to light up in ways that aren't filtered, staged, or strategic. They're simply real. The kind of woman who shows you her real face isn't doing it because you demanded it. She's doing it because your energy made it safe enough to drop the shield. So if you're a man who wants to connect deeply, not just attract her, but anchor her, start by paying attention to her expressions. Another wasted day. Learn what she does when she's uncomfortable. Learn what she does when she's safe. Watch how her eyes shift when she's unsure. Watch how her lips move when she's curious. Don't analyze her. Feel her, because you can't fake emotional presence. She knows. She's always known. And the moment she realizes that you're not just hearing her, but seeing her in a way most men don't even try to, that's the moment you stop being interesting and start becoming irresistible. So don't just listen to her words. Study her eyes, study the corners of her mouth, study the muscle tension around her expression. Because the man who sees what's unsaid becomes the man she'll never forget. And in a world where most men are blind to her subtle truth, be the one who sees her without needing to be told. There's something most men completely overlook when they're around a woman they're attracted to. They focus on her words, on what to say, on how to impress, but they miss what her body is subtly revealing, especially the way she touches her neck or plays with her hair. Now, on the surface, it might seem like vanity or habit, but psychologically, it's something much deeper. These gestures, stroking the side of her neck, running fingers through her hair, toying with a strand lightly grazing her collarbone. These are you, not random. They are subconscious reactions that often signal vulnerability, nervous excitement, and even emotional openness. Her body, without her realizing it, is telling a story. And if you're present enough to notice it, you'll realize it. She's not just looking at you, she's feeling you. This type of behavior falls under what psychologists refer to as go self-soothing mechanisms. But they're small, repetitive gestures that regulate internal emotions, particularly when someone is feeling stimulated, nervous, or drawn in by someone else's energy. In women, especially those who are feminine at their core, these gestures often show up in romantic or emotionally charged moments. Let's say you're sitting across from her in conversation. You've dropped into a space of calm, confident presence. You're not trying to impress her, you're just being deeply yourself. And suddenly she starts fidgeting with her necklace. Her hand lingers on her throat. Her fingers slowly wind around a strand of her hair. That's not because she's bored. That's not because she's distracted. It's because something inside her is awakening. Her body is processing your energy. She might not be consciously aware of it, but her nervous system is. Think about it. What is the neck symbolically and physically? It's one of the most vulnerable areas of the body. Exposing the neck is a primal act of submission, of softness, of openness. You don't show your neck unless you trust who's in front of you. That's why in the animal kingdom, animals will expose their throat only when they feel safe or are signaling surrender. So when a woman tilts her head slightly, touches her neck, or lets her hair fall to one side to expose her shoulder, it's not just feminine allure, it's unconscious vulnerability. And it only comes out when she feels a mix of emotional stimulation and psychological safety. It's just another wasted. Let's be clear. This isn't about controlling her behavior or reading signs like a playbook. This is about becoming so attuned to emotional energy that you begin to feel what her body is revealing before her words ever do. And this isn't just helpful. It's crucial because most women won't tell you directly when they're drawn to you. They don't want to be obvious. Their attraction often expresses itself through nuance. Now, here's the deeper psychological truth. Those neck and hair gestures are also tied to feminine self regulation way. When a woman is around a man who's grounded and composed, her body starts releasing. Her parasympathetic nervous system activates. Her gestures become slower, more fluid, more sensual. She touches herself more, not for seduction, but because her energy is rising. That's the feminine awakening in real time. She might not even know why she's doing it. That's the beautiful part. You didn't force anything. You didn't manipulate anything. You simply became the kind of man whose presence created emotional and psychological space for her to relax. And when she relaxes, she reveals. Not through words, but through movement. But here's what most men do instead: they rush in. They fill silence with noise. They try too hard to entertain or impress. And the moment that happens, her body starts to close. She fidgets less, her hands retreat, her posture tightens. She's no longer in her natural, relaxed feminine flow. She's in defense mode, performance mode. And from that state, there is no deep connection, just surface interaction. That's why if you want to understand a woman, not just get her attention, but you hold her trust, you need to start seeing what her body is communicating. Another wasted day. Pay attention to the way her fingers dance across her neckline when you say something that moves her. By just another wasted day, watch how she gently plays with her hair when you hold eye contact without blinking or breaking. These are not invitations for you to act. They're confirmations that your why presence is doing what words cannot. But don't rush it. Don't call it out. Don't try to waste it. Just witness it. Let it guide you, not as a tactic, but as a reflection of the space you've created inside yourself. Because the feminine only opens in the presence of strength that doesn't seek to control. And those small gestures, those neck touches, those hair twirls, those exposed moments are proof that you've given her the greatest gift a man can give a woman, the freedom to feel. And that kind of space, that kind of energetic safety, yeah, that's the moment she stops performing and starts surrendering you, not because you asked her to, but because her A body finally felt it was safe to do so. Most men don't realize that a woman's body is constantly communicating, even in silence. We tend to think that connection is built through words. Good conversation, charm, wit, and sure, those things help, but they don't create the connection. The real connection happens on a deeper level, a nervous system level. And if you understand how her body responds to energy, especially when she feels emotionally seen, you start to understand why most men never reach her heart, because they never learned how to calm her nervous system. A woman who feels emotionally seen doesn't need to be convinced. She doesn't need to be pursued endlessly because her body starts to relax in your presence, not out of obligation, out of alignment. That's how you know you're not just talking to her, you're reaching her. Watch her. Truly watch her. When a woman feels misunderstood, judged, or emotionally unseen, her body reacts. Her breath gets shorter. Her shoulders lift just slightly. Her spine stiffens. She might smile, she might laugh, she might even agree, but her body tells a different story. She's no longer there. She's performing. Polite, maybe. Interested. Not really. And this is what most men don't notice. They hear her words and assume everything's fine, when in reality, her nervous system is screaming, "Get me out of here." But when she feels seen, genuinely, deeply seen, something changes. And if you're paying attention, you'll see it. Her breath slows down, her posture softens. She might lean into you without even realizing it. Her voice lowers slightly. These aren't dramatic changes. They're subtle, sometimes almost imperceptible. But they're everything because in those moments, her nervous system is signaling safety. Her body is finally saying, "I can relax here." And here's what's fascinating. This has almost nothing to do with what you look like or how much money you have. It has everything to do with your presence. Are you grounded? Are you calm? Are you listening not just with your ears, but with your attention? Are you present enough to notice when her energy shifts? Because if you are, she feels it. Even if she can't explain why, she feels it. Women don't want a perfect man. They want a present man. They want to feel like when they speak, you're not waiting to respond. You're actually receiving. When they hesitate, you're not rushing to fill the silence. You're giving it space to breathe. And that kind of stillness is rare. That kind of attunement is magnetic. Her body responds to that kind of energy almost involuntarily. That's when she starts breathing differently. And I don't say that lightly. Her breathing literally changes, it deepens, it slows. Her entire nervous system begins to shift from guarded to open, from performative to real, from tension to surrender. Think about that. You didn't touch her. You didn't flatter her. You didn't overwhelm her with intensity. You simply saw her. You created an emotional atmosphere where she didn't need to explain herself. And the body always knows when that happens, even before the mind catches up. But that takes more than charm. It takes depth. It takes a man who has learned how to calm his own nervous system first. Because if you're anxious, rushing, needing her to validate your energy will trigger her defenses. Not because she doesn't like you, but because she doesn't feel safe yet. And safety is the foundation of all true connection, emotional, physical, spiritual. So if you really want to connect with a woman, learn to recognize how her body shifts when she's with you, not in a creepy, calculated way, but in an attuned, respectful way. Learn how to notice when her voice changes, when her breathing slows, when arms uncross, when her entire presence seems to soften. That's her nervous system saying, "This space feels different." And here's the deeper truthing when a woman starts to feel emotionally safe in your presence. It's not just about you, it's about who she becomes. Because the more emotionally safe she feels, the more her natural femininity comes alive. She laughs more easily, she shares more openly. Her sensuality surfaces, not because she's performing, but because she's relaxed enough to be fully present with you. And that kind of presence isn't earned through effort. It's cultivated through emotional intelligence. You become the man who gives her body permission to let go. You become the one she doesn't have to pretend with. You become the calm in a world that constantly asks her to be on edge. And that's why you don't need to chase. Because once her nervous system has tasted that level of safety, it remembers. And what her body remembers, her heart will eventually follow. So the next time you're wondering if she's interested, don't just listen to her words. Watch her breathing. Watch her shoulders. Watch how her energy shifts around you. That's where the real answers are, because the man who understands how to quiet her nervous system is the man she'll crave even in silence.